I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're looking for approval of amendments first at last meeting.
I give it to you.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. First up, we have a resolution authorizing and ratifying execution of an agreement with the NTS Data Services LLC Board of Elections software license amendment in the amount of $7,087. Would you speak on that? Or?
During the process of redistricting, discovered a number of issues related to geocoding address registration. There was a lot of problems. There were over 400,000 addresses that needed attention, and we had to make sure on a compressed time frame that we got all the redistricting lines correct. So we decided to contract with our vendor to make sure that it's done properly, since the petitioning deadline, petitioning circulation started last week. So we need to make sure we had it done correctly and quickly. So we can contract with them and make sure that it was done correctly.
Thank you. We'll look for a motion.
Motion second.
First and second. Any other discussion? Brian?
What was the number you gave the addresses were?
There were over 400,000 addresses
440,000.
that needed geolocating attention.
440?
440,000 that were nonsense, miscellaneous, didn't make sense.
It was errors. It was errors in the system from constantly rolling over the database from one year to the next. That in the process of when the Board of Elections started using geolocations to identify registration addresses, that just had never been addressed or cleaned up. And we're doing that now, but we had no idea until we started redistricting, and we were concerned that it was going to make our results bad.
Because there was already lines in there that were incorrect.
Right. And we spent so much time going over the lines to make sure they were all in the right place that in the process of doing that, we found all of these address problems that needed to be fixed.
Okay. Be out there for a while getting signatures, huh?
I don't think any of them were in that cemetery. Back to your commissioner, Craig. Sure is.
Remember, my district has been expanded now, so it includes all of it.
You do such a great job.
Any other discussion on that? All in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Resolution number 2 is a resolution authorizing the execution of a permanent easement of certain terms in the town of Wyoming, Maple Avenue water surface area. And the easement will be in the public interest, the consideration of $1. Out next to the airport.
Yeah, and we've added some language to the town's form easement, clearances for the airport restrictions. They want to put in a water line along the end of the runway.
Looking for
Make a motion to move it.
have a first and second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, resolution number 3 is a resolution authorizing execution of a memorandum of understanding with the city of Fulton and interested municipal municipalities concerning proposed construction of treatment of wastewater from the Southern Sewer County Regional and Receptive Sewer Project. Goes all the way from the village of Cleveland, actually, all the way to Fulton.
I'll move it.
Second. And second. Any discussion on that?
So this is sewage.
This is sewage to run all the way down through
Right.
to the line, right?
Yes, the line all the way up to its, on the whole, railroad bed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the railroad,
It is like-
on the railroad trail.
Yeah, 99 feet wide, something like this, big,
Right.
bad, so, Tony's,
Trade a revenue stream does it for Fulton?
Frank, you got something?
No, Jay's on the committee, he's asking a question about.
Yeah, does that, will it create a revenue stream for Fulton? Eventually it will.
The Fulton's got a lot of capacity we're not using, and so, yes, it's all kind of. part of it.
Eventually, it will, yeah.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah,
Good.
but once it's.
Be a long process.
Yeah. And,
It's a good thing.
I have a question. It kind of pertains to what Jay was speaking of. But the thing is, it said the southern, it's the district's southern area of Oswego County.
County,
Okay. Cleveland, I didn't think was part of the southern area, but what about Phoenix and Schuylkill, that area, is that going to tie in also or not?
So the feasibility study right now is looking at the entire route along what we call the county recreation trail, the old railroad bed. And that begins just outside of Phoenix, or it's Cleveland, on the west side of Cleveland, and goes all the way to Maple Ave on County Route 6 and Maple Ave in Bowling.
Right.
And so most of that is the southern part of Oswego County, and that's why they put southern in there.
Okay.
But right now it's a feasibility study, and this agreement would allow for Fulton to accept the waste from that if the county were to build and own that line.
Will the city of Fulton have to expand anything as their wastewater treatment plant?
So they currently have a $40-some million project underway, and by the time they're done, this project will hopefully coincide with the completion of all that. They have plenty of capacity to do it.
Okay, and I like that idea, I mean, because I was worried about with Phoenix putting in their wastewater treatment plant, and the IDA owning the one wastewater treatment plant that's just outside of Miller's. But that's, the biggest issue is, is the wastewater, the waste. I support that wholeheartedly. Thank you very much for your consideration on this. And I know the city of Fulton and people who get their water bill will be very happy with it also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Resolution number 4 is a resolution appointing certain individuals to the Oswego County Industrial Development Agency. The following people are appointed: is Mariel Chesborough, Nick Canale Jr., Patrick Carroll, Mark Greco, Tricia Peter Clark, Tim Stahl, and Gary Standard.
I'm moving.
Have the first, second. Any discussion? Frank?
I ask this every year when these things, whenever these appointments are being put in, that, especially this one, that there is no one from the minority caucus on this committee. Yes, I know there's a Democrat on there somewhere, I don't know which one it is. I think it's Tricia Peter Clark might be a Democrat, but there should be a member from the minority caucus as well as on the majority caucus on this, on this committee. It should not be just, it should be bipartisan. I know that, you can say it is, but I'm sorry, unless you have a member from the minority caucus along with the majority caucus on this committee, it's not bipartisan. And I will not be in favor of this on the floor. I'll make the same argument on the floor. Thank you very much. Let's keep that in mind when you're doing this and the next one comes up.
Okay.
Did you have a question first?
Well, I was just gonna ask, are we set to this number, or could we add in
Could there be another one added? No, they can set numbers. Set numbers?
And I would just add for point of information, you know, sometimes those meetings are 3, 4, 5 hours long, and I mean, if you really feel that one of the members of the minority caucus has the flexibility in their work schedule to be able to do that, that's probably another consideration as well. So you could go there and be there 15 minutes, or you could go there and be there all day. So, just point of information.
That's, you know, I mean, that's the same thing that when you sign up to be a legislator, you sign up to represent the people. And if you can't represent them in a meeting that's that important, then you shouldn't sign up for it. But I would, you know, I know any member of our minority caucus, that a large number that we have, okay, one of us would be able to be there. And even when we had 8, one of us would have been able to be there. Okay, that's all I'm asking, is to make it bipartisan. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody say? Resolution number 5, resolution authorizing the chairman to enter into an agreement with TRC companies to provide technical assistance with the pole attachment agreement process on the broadband project. It's going to be, we got quotes from top firms, and the TRC company is going to put in preferred provider at a cost of $1,514,794. Okay.
Yeah, so those funds are in the grant budget that we have from New York State. There's only certain companies that National Grid has authorized to do this work when you're making these applications. We have over 7,000 poles in our project. Every one of those has to be physically examined to make sure that it's positioned well enough. I mean, you've driven down the road and seen them leaning halfway over to the right of way, and others are just chock full of attachments already. So not only do you have to file, you have to examine all these poles, check the distance between everybody that's attached to it, fill out a like multi-page report, and then if Verizon or Windstream or any of the telcos are attached to the pole, not only do you have to apply to National Grid to get permission, but you have to apply to those other companies to sign off to say they don't have a problem with you signing on there. So it's a lot of work. It's many months of work, and it's a really important front end part of the project to build that 345 miles of fiber.
Second.
Okay, have a first and second. Any other discussion?
I have one question. Are they a local company or are they?
They're in central New York, yeah.
Okay.
Liverpool, I think.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Resolution 6 is a resolution authorizing the chairman to enter into an agreement with Beast Technologies for the provision of all network design related activities associated with this broadband project, which goes back to just 345 miles. The amount of the application for proposal is for $26 million. And the ECC is awarded $1,397,490 for delivery of those services.
Chairman, thank you. So when we first went out to seek an internet service provider, before we even knew about this municipal infrastructure grant program, we had received some responses from various internet service providers. The legislature, through the purchasing procurement process, selected Empire Telecommunications. And basically their response said, for X number of dollars, we will build this. And that was like soup to nuts kind of proposal, right? So then after you authorized them to be our primary provider, the municipal infrastructure program came up and we were granted funds to build this network. At that time, Empire said, this is a little bit different than what we had thought we were going to be working with. So we don't really want to go by the proposal that we gave you. We'd like to modify that to fit the circumstances. And so we said, okay, we're still in negotiation with them. We granted them a contract to work with us, mostly because we had to allocate the ARPA funds by the end of last year. But that wasn't an amount that would cover everything that needs to be done. It was just to cover the ARPA funds at that time. So this particular resolution is a clarification of some of the activities that would have been in that soup to nuts package. But they have a couple other projects going on in the state, and they worked with ECC Technologies and sorted out who's going to do what part of the design, and they decided for the purpose of getting this done quickly, both parties agreed that ECC could do all of that design work. So that's off the plate of Empire, and it wouldn't be something that got funded for them to do later. So it's just a division of tasks, if you will, under that project.
Okay.
So is that included in the 26 million?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we move it then.
Okay, we have a motion for a second. Is there any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, resolution 7 is resolution authorizing execution and submission of grant applications for the Southern Oswego County Regional Interceptor Sewer Project. The system and related, we're looking for grant funding would be about approximately $92 million.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. There's several state and federal grants that project would be eligible under, particularly competitive because it's kind of a shared service amongst a lot of different communities, even though it would be led by Oswego County. Far cheaper and more efficient than everybody trying to build their own wastewater treatment plant and getting permitted to discharge the waste into an acceptable body of water. So the DEC is very much in favor of this, and others at the state level are seeing this as an example of cooperative venture to help solve a major critical infrastructure issue. So we think that it's highly likely this will be very well funded, and this just authorizes Tim to go and Mark Bombardo to work together to go forward and try to access all those funds.
I'll move it.
Okay, second. I have a first and a second. Any more discussion?
One quick, will the wastewater treatment plant in Fulton, was that part of the grant money in there or not?
Not for
That's separate?
yeah. This is for the line. Fulton already has been awarded a lot of money, and they're applying for more, but doesn't apply to this resolution.
This is just to build across the track.
Pending positive results from the feasibility study.
Okay.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thanks, Nick.
Get that money.
Next up, we have to ratify the finance and personnel page of travel policy. Phil?
Yes, last month, you approved an update to the expense reimbursement and travel policy, pending Finance and Personnel's review. When they reviewed it, they wanted to and voted on a change to increase the limit on which departments have to seek authorization for refreshment reimbursement, increasing it from $250 to $1,000. And since they made that change, it has to be you to ratify or disagree, whichever we want to do. And they made that change to have it coincide to the limits on the credit cards as well.
I'll make a motion.
Have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll get this out and issued in one place.
Next up, we're going to the reporting department. We're going to the weight and measures annual report.
Yep, this is the annual report that I submitted to Albany for the year. If anybody has any questions about it, I'd be glad to answer.
How was it? A good year? Do you have many spills out there?
No, actually, we had the highest amount of fees issued this year because our gas pump went up quite a lot in the county. They broke 33,000, I think, for the amount of fees issued. Should go up this year too because they changed some of the way they do. The state lets us issue some of the fees. They've clarified a couple things and changed a couple of things that will make us be able to issue a few more things that we couldn't collect fees on prior.
Anybody have any questions?
I say keep up the good work.
Thank you. We'll go into the county clerk's report next. Sure.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. This month compared to last year, this month we're 600 transactions above what we were last year in DMV, so that's a positive note. That is with one day for the snow closure being down too, so a little optimistic that 2025 is going to be better in the DMV world. We did make our numbers last year, but I always like to see those numbers be creeping up here, and I think we're heading in the right direction. Continue to do our training with our DMV staff. There's a lot of things happening when it comes to real ID. If you don't have a real ID, get into the office now. Make sure you get a real ID. You will not be allowed on a plane. You will not be allowed in a federal building if you do not have a real ID. Say and do yourself a favor too, just personal experience. If you can swing it, just get yourself an enhanced driver's license and be done with it. Because it's the easiest
That's
stuff.
with the advanced license.
Yeah.
It's the same thing if you have that.
Well, the enhanced will get you into Canada as well, and being where we live, it's easier to have that than your passport on you if you get to Buffalo and you want to go to Canada. So,
They're still letting us in, yeah.
well, anyways, in the clerk's office, actually, we've seen our pistol permits have had a little bit of an uptick. I think that's with partially the sentiments in Albany. When the legislature's back in session, everybody gets a little bit more nervous because there's more Second Amendment laws that come into vision there. So just if you have anybody with any questions on them, we're always willing to help, stop in. And on top of that, we're just continuing to work on our records management project in the record center. I have full staff now, and all of our veterans documents are digital now, which is great. Working with the Veterans Department to input all of their new records, so no paper is going into the record center. So the other thing that I'm working on, and I think by Wednesday I'll have more of a little bit of a clearer picture, is criminal court, county court. I'm looking to go electronic with that and be one of the first ones in the state. So that'll be a huge win for us. And then the whole court records side of the office will be electronic. And the whole office will be electronic except for passports, pistol permits, and like ED pays.
Yep. Sounds good. Any other questions, sir? Thank you. Oh, David.
Terry, I talked to a guy at the NISAC
I know.
conference.
Craig Boyle, I talked to him too.
Yeah, they do preservation also. That was really interesting, the way that they can take some of those old things and
I actually have one book that I would like to do, but I have to make sure that I got to get to towards the end of the year and see where my budget is on that. It's not. I have a criminal records book, which is absolutely amazing. Anytime you want to come down and take a look at it, it's really cool, especially if you're into history and everything. I'd love to preserve it. It goes way back to the 1800s. It's in a little bit of shambles with the binding and everything, but definitely something that I want to give to them to look at and present for us.
that'd be great. If he asks you for money later, give it to him, because I look at some of the things they had preserved. It's amazing what they've done. Stuff that was almost dust.
Yeah.
You didn't go before 1880.
No, I didn't see a
Okay,
name
good,
in
that's
there.
safe. Jay was gonna go down and look.
There was a lunacy one there.
Yeah, right, we got that.
Any other questions for Terry? Okay. Strategic initiatives next, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Been working pretty much head first into the broadband, because we have, very limited schedule to get that done. It's got to be done by December 31st of next year. We've got a really good team put together. Kyle will be heading that up when I leave. This is my last government committee meeting. So Kyle's working hard on that. He'll also be doing the rest of the ARPA closeouts. We've got about 80 grantees left to make sure that they finish the work that they propose to do and have proper records reported, and then we still have to report through the first quarter of 2027. They'll be reporting on all those ARPA dollars quarterly. So working, we had a meeting last week with Bartlett and Judas and some other folks to get the Phoenix wastewater project underway and get Bartlett and Judas to contract so that they can start moving forward. So we're making good progress there as well. Might be some additional funds required because when we go to bid, we'll be almost 18 months out from the last time we did a budget estimate. But B&L has assured us as part of their contract that they'll work with the village and the county to secure those funds going forward. So should be in good shape there as well. And we'll be handing off the wastewater project to Mark Lombardo. Will take over all the wastewater things when I leave. And Kyle will do a good job for you on the broadband and ARPA. He's been actively involved for the last several years with the state and all their webinars and training sessions and everything, and works very closely with our consultants right now. So you'll be in good hands. I've enjoyed working with all of you, and I'll miss most of it.
For a little while.
Yeah. Frank, you and I have had some disagreements over the years, but
It's all business, Dave. It's nothing personal.
all business, always
All
able to
business.
bury the hatchet afterwards.
Right. So, yeah, but it's always-
Not always sure where we
That's
want to
right.
bury it.
That's right. That's right. That's why I'm always walking, looking over my shoulder. I know who you used to hang around with.
We didn't have any cake or anything, or?
Who's got another?
Hey, you're looking for cake. I love donuts. No cake. They think you're candy. You're looking for cake.
You've got another month to go. You've got
I've got a glazed donut from last Friday in my office if you want.
Fill in it.
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Kind of like what the governor did.
Any other questions? Thank you, Scott.
There was hummus.
Congrats, Dave, very good.
Thanks.
Next up, we have public, real property isn't here, so we'll have public defenders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The big news for us is that last week we spent moving out of our temporary housing across the street. into our new facility at the Bunner Street complex. The move went fantastic thanks to IT and Rick Doden and all his people. IT was especially important. They kept us hooked up and across the street until we had people up and running at Bunner Street, so that we always had access to the courts and everything else. Right now, the facility looks good. Everything is working. The only thing they're working on is the badge entry, but they've been working on that pretty much every day. I think they're pretty close to getting that done. So.
Well, that's good. Yep. Good news out of Bunner Street for
Yes,
sure.
it is.
Yeah, that's the way it was, yeah.
We'll get if you legislature would like, we'll get a ribbon cutting and maybe a tour arranged within the next couple of weeks and get that good news out.
And the weather gets a little better.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next up, we have sign council.
Yes, thank you. Just echoing Brett's sentiments, we popped over to the assigned council office over at Bunner Street, and I do have to say the building is beautiful. They really did a good job. I know it had quite a few hiccups, and it took longer than we all originally thought, but it really is a beautiful building. They did a great job on it, and it seems very modern, which is great to see. Since the last meeting, assigned council has just been working on recertifying our attorneys. Every year, we ask the 18B attorneys to fill out certain paperwork, make sure they have, their malpractice insurance in order, certificates of good standing. So we've just been processing those, handing out the court list to the judges. We're just about finalized with that. We are struggling, as I think every legal department in the county and other counties are. We have a low number of attorneys for our caseload. It is not uncommon, and we are seeing it more and more, for judges to call us and say, we do not have any attorneys available for this case. We need you to canvass, and we're certainly happy to do so. It is quite a time suck for our office. So one of my priorities this year, along with reducing the legal fee line, is canvassing to try to get more attorneys onto the panel. Hopefully we'll have some luck with that. We are finalizing and signing the family court grant that we received, the $750,000 grant. We had some negotiations with ILS. I believe the contract's ready to sign, and from there we should be receiving that money once we can put our claims in. I'm anticipating probably summer we can start claiming on it. Our cap court grant is up at the end of 2025, so we will also be exploring with ILS how they want to fund the cap court, whether it's through the public defender's office, through the 18B program, a combination of both. But I would like to see a contract get finalized before the end of the year, so we're not struggling to fund that program. Otherwise, business as usual.
Good. Thank you very much. Next up, we have the Board of Elections.
We did just wrap up redistricting. We feel very
Finally.
the saga that was redistricting. We feel quite confident about it. But an awful lot of time going over final details, checking and rechecking.
I think it's important to note those 400,000 addresses, those did not affect the validity of the registration system.
No.
Those were not attached to voters. They were not supposed to be there. They weren't even able to be districted, which is why we had to get them cleaned out so we could get those lines accurate.
It was data. It was all just
Yes.
ones and zeros. It wasn't actual people. We've also been in the process of we call list maintenance activities, national change of address. The post office sends us information of thousands of people that have moved in the previous year. So we're looking hard on that. We have an eye also towards to Bunner Street.
Yes.
Hopefully July-ish is our hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. We have the financial reports in the back, and next we're gonna be looking for a motion to go into executive session.
And that's regarding pending litigation, the CBA cases, Antioch Q versus County of Oswego, Velasco versus County of Oswego.
Okay.
Chairman, before you do that, just two things I want to bring to your attention on the broadband project. All of our huts or nerve centers for the broadband network, we were able to get on county property, so we don't have any leases or other financial arrangements with other property owners, except for two places in Pulaski and in Central Square. We're trying to locate one of those centers at each, on property owned by the village in each place. And we've asked them to consider it at their meetings, which both happen next Monday. If they agree, then at some point we'll have to have an MOU with those two villages about the long-term placement of the facility. They're not big. It's like 16 by 16 area. Put a little shed on there. It's full of electronics and things like that. But both of the villages will need an MOU or some other document if they agree to let us do that.
Sure. Okay, we're going for executive session.
Action.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, we're adjourned.
I'm gonna
Thank you, everyone.
sue that.